Me, I was laughing too hard last video too.
And in this video, we're tackling a top 10. This is going to be my top 10 decks that I hate right now in this game. Like my top, I guess like my top 10 of like 2025.
Okay.
So I really sat down and looked at every archetype, and this is going to be a little bit of old bias. This is going to be a lot of modern day bias. This is genuinely, honestly, my most hated. Like, there's no, like, I really took my time to really figure out what I hated. So, let's kick this off. Evil Twins. I think that they're annoying. They also, like, you know what it is? It's like they climb up that link ladder so... Evil Twins. I think that they're annoying. They also, like, you know what it is? It's like they climb up that link ladder so easily. It feels like, I don't want to say it feels helpless at times facing the deck. I feel like I'll face them, and I'll be like, I hit you with a hand trap. And I'm like, maybe this will stop them. It never fucking stops them. They always end up summoning out another one, especially summoning the other one from the hand, and they link up, and then they're like, now I can bring this back one from my graveyard. Now I can link the forward, now I can do this. And it never seems to ever go the way that I want. It always seems like they're always just there, and they just never, like, you know what it is? It's like, I kind of like facing a deck that, like, if you hit it with a hand trap, you feel like you did something. That's the kind of deck you feel like no... Like, you don't feel like you did anything. So I feel like that's very discouraging for someone like myself, that you feel like you're going to get hit either way regardless, so it's like you just feel kind of defeated a little bit. So that's my number 10. Weatheries. They all kind of like have like a little bit of like a rainbow aesthetic. They have like the paintbrush.
No, I know Weatheries.
Okay. Now the thing I don't like about them is they make me have to sit down like, oh my god. I hate it when some decks I make me sit down like, now I gotta fucking read multiple shit. Because it's like, because they're like,
and then my continuous spell card
gives me a bonus. So now I'm like, alright, so what the fuck do you do? And what the fuck does this do? Because I have to implement this to this. Yes. And then at the same time, I'm like, but don't think now because I'm out of here. And I'm just, it's one of those decks where it's like, I'm like, I gotta beat the shit in 2 seconds. Because it's like once they start getting established, I auto lost. And it's like one of those decks where it's like, I'm like, I'm just fucking gay ass looking shit. So it's like, I don't know, that kind of like pisses me off. And it's weird, in some weird way, I think I could have seen myself using them and liking them, but it wasn't in the cards for me. But at the same time, it's just like, it's one of those decks where it's like, I just look at it and I'm just like, I like the idea of having like a full field, of having like your spells traps in conjunction with your monsters, but there's just something about them where I'm just like, fuck you. Can't put my finger on it, fuck you.
Weatheries are one of those decks to me, I don't like them only because I've never seen a deck do so much to get so little.
Yeah, no,
they don't really
I feel that with another deck on this list, but I'll say
yeah, I'm just like, to me, they never really, I've seen them like, play so many cards, I'm like, I haven't lost anything, they haven't touched none of my cards, but they just, I'm summoning this, activate this, let me place this out, let me get this out. I'm like, yeah, but you're not, which is fine, don't touch my card, but like, you're doing all that, I'm like, where's the boss?
Shaddolls. Shaddolls will probably always, in whatever land, will always kind of somehow make it on my list. Shaddolls are mainly here because of one thing lately, and that is that fucking trap card that lets you just like, oh, now it's your turn, now I'm gonna summon. And the thing is that kind of started becoming like a little fun tech engine for some decks. And then, yeah, so then it's like, you know, I'm like, okay, I see your established field, so I'm like, okay, now it's my turn. I'm already, draw face, trap card, window. And when I see that, I'm like, fuck you. I'm like, I see that, I want to like yank you out of the fucking screen, and I want to like smack the shit out of you.
What's wrong with you? Get you, get up there, no.
It's like that one move alone is why it has that placement. Okay. So I've never liked Shaddolls. I've always thought Shaddolls were really punty, and still to this day I have that. It's like I got a lot of stigma with me where it's like, oh my god, you hate Shaddolls, so you hate Construct, and she's the face of the deck.
That's I hate Construct, and you hate Window.
Yeah, Window.
I love Shaddolls. Yeah, I understand.
Because like I don't care, Construct is kind of like in her own field, like she's kind of like doing her own thing. Like,
they restrict you.
Yes, and I hate that because I'm like, you know, like I ain't doing that shit to you. Don't do that shit to me. Rescue Ace. I think that deck is so fucking one note, so dry, so boring. And then at the same time, it's like, you know what I don't like about that deck? The thing that stings me the most is that I hate it when a deck comes off, like they do the most generic shit possible, get mad advantage, and they walk away thinking that they did good. I don't fucking like, because a lot of the decks that I play are very combo heavy and very complicated. So the plays that I play, I feel like I work so hard on, I don't like the idea of, let's just say, you summoning this big fucking tank, yeah, and then he's like, I play these four. Don't, because if I get a smug, like, sense of arrogance out of you, I will fucking beat the shit. Because it takes no fucking skill. That deck takes 0 skill. That deck is so easy and plain and dry and boring.
I summon this, that brings this, that summons itself, which now brings my new monster, which now puts 4 face down. You activate a card on your turn, guess what, buddy? My turn. I get to activate my 4 cards, and then another one that puts all the cards I just activated right back into my deck to guess what? Do it again next turn.
It's so, like, at the same time, it's like, when I first saw them, I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing, like, having them be like a fire deck that's based off, like, firefighters, and like, having like, all these cool, like, machine kind of things. Like, I was like, because I always really wanted them to make like a really cool machine deck, ever since I couldn't use Ancient Gears, and I feel like seeing that that's what they did, I was like, it feels unearned. It feels unearned, and it feels very shitty, and I feel like I don't like facing them because I don't get the satisfaction of beating them. I'm just like, I see it, and I'm just like, okay, how can I just restrict you from summoning this fucker, and where you're bringing out these 4? And it's annoying because it's like, I feel like I keep tap dancing around the problem, and I hate decks that are like that. It's basically you're just dealing with this one fucker, and then it's just like...
It's 4 little minions.
Yeah. Junk. Now, I have a weird relationship. You see, back in the day, like, I have this friend that he uses junk, and I've seen him use junk from the fucking get-go with this deck. I've seen that deck evolve so much over the years, and I've liked seeing its journey. The thing that I don't like is I despise facing it nowadays, because now the deck became such a glass cannon. I mean, it kind of always was like that, but I guess now it's to the extreme. I don't like it because, basically, mainly because junk's beater.
That's why you're talking about the last time we recorded. It's the one that brings out from the deck.
Yeah, it's special summons all these synchrons from the deck for free with none of them being negated, no cost to you. And it basically has turned into this game with Jump Speeder where it's basically like, if you get a hand trap and you negate it, you pretty much won the game. Because they're obviously not really going to be able to get around that. However, on the flip side of it, if it resolves and they get off Jump Speeder's effect, they can end the field with like 3 Quasar motherfucking kind of cards, and then you're not going to be able to do nothing.
You know what it is I don't like about Jump Speeder? If he gets into that Cosmic Quasar Dragon, ooh, spare time.
But that's the point. The thing is that, but it's so easy. The thing is that when you're able to summon like 5 Synchron monsters from your deck with him still existing on the field, you could easily summon something like that for nothing. And if you let Jump Speeder go off, that's what you deal with. So for me, in my opinion, with Jump Speeder is I feel like, or Jump in general, it's one of those decks now where I feel like I either hit Speeder and they quit, or Jump Speeder resolves and I quit. It's basically one of those decks where it's like I just don't like that anymore because it became such a either fuck you or fuck me. Because that's how it is now. It's basically like watch me pop off or I basically stopped you and now you're pissed off. It's basically the deck became this pissed off like deck now where it's like basically like it has this like negative feeling to me about it because it's not like a fun deck where I'm like, oh, because you know what the synchro decks used to be like, it took a lot of resources to earn that synchro. Flounderies.
You don't like Flounderies?
Nope.
I'm not the biggest fan of them, and then I use them.
You know what it is?
It's like, you're still freaky.
Yeah.
Still a prick. I like the fact if they did everything they did only on their turn, then it wouldn't bother me that much.
They're like what I feel like True Kings, but like to the nasty, dirty, scummy side. It's basically like they like took like everything about True Kings and they basically were like, we're gonna do pretty much very similar shit, but now we're just gonna be like even more stunny and fucky. Like it's also extremely hard to hand trap them. And
they're all normal summons.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's basically like they're all. It's like it's slow, it's clunky, it's like it's not what the game is supposed to be anymore. So it's basically like you're in a different world when you're facing them, and I just fucking like. I also don't aesthetically like looking at them.
The penguins,
and I feel
birds, or whatever the hell.
I just like you know what it is like on people. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cute looking, but then I'm like, I don't want to be losing to something like that.
No, I wouldn't either. I don't like them. I remember the first time I ever faced them, I put down Maxine, and I was like, ha ha ha, no more summons for you. And they kept summoning, and I'm like, well, Maxine, well, Maxine. And then I read it, and I was like, oh, these are normal summons.
I just feel like you kind of feel like a little helpless on the opposite end.
Oh, when it's your turn, you summon something, then activate their card, let them start summoning stuff, and then when they summon, they keep summoning. You're like, hey, but it's my turn. And they're like, no, because I'll affect say immediately after. So we don't even give. So like, they literally stop you in the middle of your tracks and go, hey, we see what you're trying to do. Build up. No.
Definitely gonna be butchering their names. Navalis. They're that deck that's those fucking ritual fucking chef motherfuckers.
This shit.
Yes.
I've never seen this shit in my entire life.
You're very lucky because that deck is so. If you face them, you would fucking hate them.
What do they do?
So you know what it is? So they do like a lot of like searching like ritual like other cards. They played similar a little bit to Necros, where they're basically like my ritual card by itself can do this and grab that. So they did a lot of searching, but it also goes nowhere a little bit at the same time. They're like what I would say is if you mix Necros with like that like Abyss Actor deck. Like if you take those two decks and slap them together, it's very similar to that. So if you don't like either of those decks, you would probably despise them.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's like a lot of like it's like I feel like you can't stop them. Once they start going, they just keep fucking never ending. They're the deck that pops off like no tomorrow, and they just keep going and going and going. And it's like I tried reading them, and it's just they're hard to understand. It's like in some ways like I want to be like, oh, I kind of want like, cause I want to find a ritual deck that I really gravitate towards, and it's just like I was like maybe this might be it, and then I faced them too many times, and I was like, you know what, I hate this deck.
Welcome back to Papa John's. I'm hand stuffing this mozzarella to make our epic stuffed crust pizza.
Epic.
Many times, and I was like, you know what, I hate this deck. It's trap tricks.
I definitely don't like trap tricks.
Now you see the thing is with trap tricks is that don't get me wrong, I'm all here for like a good old school trap deck. Like I like a good trap card being used here and there. But the thing I don't like about trap tricks is that trap tricks, I think once they made that Link 1, everything was different. I started despising them.
The world changed. Because the Fire Nation came.
Because you know what? Because back in the day when they had Marlelio or whatever, like I remember like, I was using trap tricks and God Complex when I built that. Like I liked them in the beginning. And in some sick world, I still kind of do.
Okay.
I still like them. I've never played.
You still like what they became.
Yeah, it's kind of like what they did to Monarchs to me. Like whereas like, once I saw like the direction Monarchs took, I got turned off immediately. But it's like the thing I don't like about trap tricks is I feel like that bitch, that Link 1 bitch, can do so much. That sometimes I'll see her hit the field and I see them kind of get off what they need. I don't even want to fucking face them. Like I literally would look at that field and feel so disgusted. I'm like, I don't even want to give you the satisfaction of even engaging with you because I just know you're just gonna pop up. Because that's one of those decks where it's like the moment you get advantage, they lost. And it's one of those things where, but most of the time, that's not always the case. And usually they'll just steamroll you. And I just feel like their level of consistently gets so fast, like, and their build-up is just so quick. But at the same time, it's just I don't like seeing like, this hand trap,
No, that's ready to say
this trap, this that. It's basically you know what it is? It's like each turn they figure out some fucking way of like getting you. Yeah, it's like they find so much way to cripple you each turn. They're like, my turn. And then when it's their turn, it's like, well, here's my extra investment, pass. And then it's like, you're like in the back of your mind, you're like, I know.
I can't play pass forward.
Because they like to use like that like trap card, the one with like the ice barrier on it, where it's basically like, now everything is gone. And basically they have like a lot of back row cards have the ability to really shut shit down for a turn, and sometimes just that one shutdown
can ruin everything because they do it at the right time. They really immobilize the player. I've never liked them only because it makes me feel like they're not strong enough to ever do an OTK, like a one-turn kill. So it's like I have to keep trying. It's like they keep faking it.
You kind of have to sit there and kind of just.
They're like, I could be here's another turn. Well, I'm gonna try. No, try again. What can I do? No.
Ritual Beast. I hate fucking Ritual Beast. I hate a deck that don't fucking stand still. And the thing that I don't like about a deck that doesn't stand still more than anything, I hate about just for that. It's just like the thing I don't like that deck does. That deck takes fucking 10 million years to get one fucking piece of advantage. They'll summon the same fucking repetitive card to do the fucking same. I bounce, I return, I bounce, I return. Why are you doing this? I don't know anymore. And then at the same time, it's like they'll do all of this shenanigan bullshit. And then you know what it is? Half the time I win because they time out.
It's like you do a double dutch. Like, all right, I'm gonna jump. I summon this. That brings it. That brings it. Now he moves this. Now I summon this. Now I bring back. All right, now we fuse. All right, now we attach. Now that's attached. When he attaches, he summons himself. Now he summons. I can set this card. They do all of this. Like, are you ever gonna end your turn? Huh? Because they have endless loops. So they just.
And that to me, it's basically like have you seen Inside Out 2, right?
Yes.
Remember when Inside Out was that's what it is. It's like anxiety. I'm like, that's that deck.
Yes.
That deck is anxiety from fucking Inside Out 2.
Yeah. Which is a great movie. You should watch that.
Mechanicos. That deck takes 0 skill. I hate every one of their fucking little cards, their ritual card, their fucking spells that protect them. Everything about that deck is just basically, in my opinion, takes 0 skill. I literally just have to look at you and just like, well, if I just beat myself against the wall, I won the game. And it's basically like,
Hey, you wanna do a short? What are you doing? I'm winning.
I'm killing myself. The only way to win is for me to die. It's basically one of those decks where it's like, I can't see how someone on the opposite end of that gets any satisfaction. You did nothing. You literally did nothing. You sat there, literally just slammed your head against the wall and claimed victory.
You know what I love?
And I think that that is the most lazy, brain-dead way to win.
You know what I love?
At least Yugioh was aesthetically like her own thing, and half the time that's not always her game. You know, mechanics. Yeah, like that's not always her default way to win.
Yes.
And I still respect that. But Mechanical's pretty much just try. And yet again, it's like yeah, and like how you said in the other video, everything's fucking waifu, so now I'm losing to this fucking waifu trash. So it's basically like I hate it. Everything about I can't even give the deck anything. I can't even be like, well, at least I like that. Nope.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
You know what?
I think that deck is complete shit, and if you use it, you're fucking brain dead.
I agree with 98% of the things that you just said. You want to know what my favorite thing about Mechanicals is? Any deck can be a Mechanical deck when you're tired of playing. When I duel somebody, I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, I get to the point I see them playing, I'm never gonna beat this. I take my shit, I crash right into it. Like, I'm never gonna get, like, if you don't beat me on your turn, I'm like, you don't fuck this duel. I'm taking my monster and I'm smashing it right into your life. We'll play this game. Yeah, I'm gonna end my own life points. Attack his card. Cause I don't care anymore. I'm like, alright, you got your big shit off. I don't care anymore.
I also deep down.
Like, y'all playing heroes, but guess what? We're Mechanicals now. Woo!
I feel like they're like, you can't target me, you can't touch me. I'm gonna make it where you can't touch my continuous cards. And I'm like, I remember I faced one, and I was like, in the back of my mind, like I drew, and I was like, okay, so my only resort is Zeus. So I hate that. Like I hate that. I'm like, alright, I can't touch you, can't attack you, can't do that. It's basically I'm like, alright, so I have to play this one fucking trick. So like, no,
And they don't summon enough to where you can even really nib them either. So like,
alright, can you be quiet? I don't want my video to be too long. So I hope that you guys liked the video, and don't
fucking foul. Trying to get a little furious. Hey guys, I'm going he just falls into the toilet, like busts his fucking head open.
Spidey is 24. Can you call it in?
Nope. Oh shit. I'm in trouble, guys.
So yeah, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to check out my Instagram.
You're older now, so like, you would have really hurt yourself if you fell. Like, you would have been like, you could catch it, like, it would have been a big ass thud.
It's not funny.
That shit is hilarious.
It's not. It's such an evil.
No.
Oh shit.
You have that? You show it to me right now.
My better judgment has been screaming at me. It keeps saying that you lot are gonna cost me my job.
You're gonna blow us up, aren't you?
You know you love it. Every week, ESPN Plus brings you magic.
Youngin Yamal ignites the game.
World-class soccer all in one place. ESPN Plus, for the love of soccer.
CGB, buddy, it has been a minute. Although it probably hasn't been a minute for the actual people watching these videos, but for you and I to actually get together and talk about some Yu-Gi-Oh cards. How you feeling, buddy? You doing good?
Hell yeah, man. It's good to hear your voice. It's good to be back doing what we do. And I'm really jealous of the viewers at moments like these because I see their comments and I know they watched these videos like a minute ago, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, the comments just keep popping up. So you guys get to watch them and just go right into the next one. But we had to actually take, God, was it a month off?
It was about a month. Yeah, pretty substantial. But we're back and oh, buddy, are we coming back with a vengeance? So we're going to be talking about a new summoning mechanic.
No.
Yay! Now, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you because the first card I'm going to show you is actually a card that you know. This is going to look familiar, okay? So take a look at this.
Yeah, the best dweller. Yeah, just when I think I'm getting a handle on things, we've got another freaking summoning mechanic. Just when I'm starting to get something. When I'm getting somewhere, man.
All right, so I'm gonna help you out here. So this is what is known as an Xyz monster. It's spelled XYZ, but it's pronounced Xyz. Don't ask. It's the lore. That's just how it is. You can see it down there in the text box next to where it says Sea Serpent. That's what this type of card is. So I'm gonna help you out. Remember with synchro summoning, you take two monsters on the field, you send them to the graveyard, you add up their levels, and you play Guy from the extra deck. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
So an Xyz monster is very similar. The difference is that instead of adding the levels together, you're going to do what is called overlaying. So in this case, if you look at the text box, Abyss Dweller requires 2 level 4 monsters. So if you were to have 2 level 4 monsters on the field, you would take both of them and physically overlay them on top of one another, then go into your extra deck, take this Abyss Dweller, and place that on top of the stack of 2 level 4 monsters that you have. Those 2 monsters underneath the Abyss Dweller become part of the monster, and when you read the effect of Abyss Dweller here, it'll make sense because it's sort of how you activate the abilities of these types of cards. So it's actually very intuitive and pretty easy, I think, especially compared to synchro summoning, because if it's the same level, you put them on top of each other, you play Guy. You're not having to do math or anything like that. So why don't you give Abyss Dweller a read, and we're going to be going through some of these cards, and you have to figure out if they're strong enough that they at any point required being banned. So go ahead.
While this card has a Z's material attached that was originally water, all water monsters you control gain 500 attack. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can detach one Z's material from this card. Any card effects that activate in your opponent's graveyard cannot be activated this turn. It's 2 level 4 monsters. So to play it, you've got 2 level 4 monsters underneath it, and those had to be on the field?
Correct.
Okay. And yeah, you remove one, and they can't use their graveyard, which is a big deal when your opponent is trying to do tier limit stuff. That's what
exactly. That's how you know this, because in previous
videos
videos, you know what tier limit. I like how you know tier limit before you know Abyss Dweller. That's really funny, just for context. But
I bet it's really funny to someone. Is it funny to you?
Well, considering Dweller came out in like 2012 and tier limit came out in like 2022, so it's like 10 years difference between these two cards.
Okay.
This is the only one of these cards you know, so I thought it'd be a good point to start with.
Yeah, it's a good friend we got here. Okay, yeah, shut them graveyards down, and I guess so. When it brings the thing out from under it, do enters effects trigger?
So I guess I'll clarify there. So when it says to detach an Xyz material from this card, what that means is, so remember, there's 2 of them underneath the Dweller, right? When you're detaching, it goes to the graveyard. So that monster underneath is now in the graveyard.
It's not as good as I thought.
I mean, that would be broken if you were special summoning the thing out from underneath it. That would be crazy.
Sick. Let's go. Yu-Gi-Oh! 2 would love this.
Maybe you'll see something like that later. Okay.
To the graveyard. Got it. And once things are not under it, do they still have the 500 attack? Let me read this again. When material attached that was originally water, all water monsters gain 500 attack. Do they lose the 500 attack when the things are gone?
Correct. So
Okay.
if there's not a water monster as material, then they would not gain the 500 boost.
Okay.
But it's still a monster. So even if you were to use Abyss Dweller's effect twice, it's still a 1700 attack point guy on the board. It just doesn't have any abilities at that point.
And this
It's
is
just vanilla.
and the 2 level 4 monsters thing is the only way to summon it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I think we're fine.
But remember, it's in your extra deck. So at any point, if you have 2 level 4s, you're able to overlay them to make this. You don't have to have it in your hand or anything.
Okay, so if it's in your extra deck, you can do the merger anytime you have the requirements.
Correct.
So you
Just
have
like
to
synchro monsters.
in your head, you just have to remember all the creatures in your extra deck and what the cost of them and when you can do them.
So you're only allowed to have 15 cards in your extra deck, and so you're going to strategically pick the best 15 cards for the deck that you're playing. So for instance, if you're not playing a deck that has level 4 monsters, you're not going to play Abyss Dweller, because you would never summon it, right? And you're going to see some of these with different levels as we go through them.
Are these,
Or rather,
all,
different ranks.
are these all extra deck monsters?
Yeah. Every Xyz monster mechanically is in the extra deck.
Okay,
yes.
okay. We don't
Just
draw
synchro
them.
monsters.
We just get
You don't have to draw them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do I have to tell you if Abyss Dweller was banned?
You do. That's the objective.
Dang.
You know it's all play, because you saw it in the Tearlament.
It was the good guy.
Sure. Let's go with that. Yeah, the good guy.
It was the only thing that kept somebody from winning the game. The only thing. Although I guess now that I think about that match I watched, they were scooping because of Abyss Dweller.
I like it. It's mine. The prices blow my mind. I feel so rich. I feel like a billionaire.
Yep.
Oh no.
It's a double-edged sword, that's for sure.
Well, I feel like we have this talk every video. It's, we sit down and we let's have a moment here. Let's really reflect. Is it about stopping people from doing the degenerate thing, or is it that people need to do the thing, and if they don't get to do the thing, they're going to be mad and stop playing the game, and all of their cards don't matter anymore, so you get rid of this so they have their time doing the thing, and then you bring it back later, and then they have to buy new cards anyway, or all the cards they bought don't work. I hate it because I don't know. This feels seeing it in action was very impressive, but it was very impressive because the Tearlaments deck just kind of ended the game, and like just shutting down somebody for one turn wasn't like a turn before they execute their strategy. It's you die now, and that seemed that seems inherent of the Tearlaments deck. I don't know if that's inherent for Yugioh, although in Yu-Gi-Oh 2, I do wonder, because my god. But Yu-Gi-Oh 2, I think about some of the cards I've seen, and they had answers to this that didn't require the graveyard. They had so many ways. Like, everything comes with also destroy a thing, you know? So you just knock this sucker out. So in Yu-Gi-Oh 2, I bet it has a role, but I bet it's not nearly as good, because it seemed like everything also removes a thing. So in the past, we're talking about, geez, this was like a time walk in Magic, basically an extra turn, but you always killed them in that specific meta. Did they have to get rid of it? They had to ban so many other things to make Tearlaments bad. I don't know if they ever banned the Abyss Dweller. This feels honestly like a good safeguard to me. So we're going to start this off by shoving my own face into an Abyss, and I'm going to say this did not get banned.
Final answer?
Yeah, final answer.
You are correct, CGB. Starting off strong. I will say, caveat, this actually just recently at the time of recording, this got banned in the Asian territories on the last ban list, which we get every few months or so, and it wouldn't be surprising if they banned it for us in the TCG here as well, because this is a card that people have wanted banned for quite some time because it is extremely oppressive, like you saw in the Tearlaments matches that you watched. This card, unfortunately, has, like you were saying, the Yu-Gi-Oh 2 problem. When this card was first initially printed, Yu-Gi-Oh was not nearly as fast as it was, and so if you got Abyss Dweller in older Yu-Gi-Oh when this card was first released, it sucked, but it wasn't the end of the world. There might be still a couple extra turns that you would still be able to play, and yeah, your turn after getting Dweller might be shut down, but that might be fine. Or also, it might be an instance where not every deck is playing out of the graveyard, so Dweller, while you might have it in your extra deck, it might be good against some decks, but it's not good against every deck, or the instance of Tearlament, it's good against exactly Tearlament, which is the only deck people were playing, so it saw widespread play as a result. But even now to this very day, with like Rizio and such, Abyss Dweller still sees play, and it's very obnoxious. Its effect is what we call a lingering effect, which is even if Abyss Dweller is destroyed or leaves the field, its effect to prevent the opponent from using the graveyard is still active. The only way to stop it is if you were to negate it when they first activate it. So these lingering type effects, Maxi is another example, right? These lingering types of effects are things that people really don't like because unless you have a way to respond to them immediately, they're very uninteractive and just not fun most of the time. So a lot of people want this card banned, and thankfully the Asian territories have finally just nipped this card in the bud. And maybe we'll see that here in the TCG as well. But for now, you got it correct. Abyss Dweller is unhit, and that's a good starting point for our Xyz adventure that we are going to take.
Oh, good.
You know,
Whoa, content creator. The people want your opinion. Should Abyss Dweller be banned?
I think so. I think it's a card that it's just a fragment of older Yu-Gi-Oh design, and the game has evolved to a point where I think Dweller's time is up. But that's my opinion. Everyone can fight me in the comments. So be it. Here's your next one.
Number 11, Big Eye. What is going on with your game? Level 7?
Correct.
2600 attack, 2000 defense.
I'll let you know, CGB, it's not a level with an Xyz monster. It's a rank. You gotta know your terminology here. Because the stars are on the left side, not the right side.
This is evident. Okay, wait. They're on the left side instead of right side, and now they're a rank. They have a whole different thing. Yeah. If you wanted more evidence that I still haven't actually played any Yu-Gi-Oh, there you go.
To be fair, the technical reason for that is because then you would be able to use the Xyz monsters for more Xyz monsters. Because then it would be level 7 instead of a rank. So then you could just keep stacking things on top of each other. But don't worry about it.
Okay. Spellcaster, Z's effect. 2 level 7 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 monster your opponent controls. Take control of that monster.
I thought you'd like this one.
This card cannot attack the turn it's activated. Yeah, it's a controlling card right there, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a permanent take control. It's not even until the end of the turn.
When did this card come out originally?
So we're gonna be going chronologically here. This is one of the first Xyz monsters that was printed. So I will look it up, but I want to say it was 2012, 2013, maybe. It was 2012. I was right on the money.
For the love of God, it can't be that easy to get 2 level 7 monsters at the same time, can it?
I will help you out a bit. Assume for the purposes of this video, it is not difficult to get the requirements onto the field in order to overlay to make these Xyz monsters.
Okay.
You've seen some guy. Think about this might come up later, but think about Kashtira Fenrir, your favorite card. Remember, you just summon him out to the field for free. He's level 7, so you could use that for this.
Yeah, sure, no problem. All right. So the year is 2020, and we're sending 2 level 7 monsters underneath this thing, playing it. It hits really hard, and then you take a piece of material off it, you gain control of their best thing. It's nasty. God, did it need to be banned? It feels like we've got costs here, right? So there's a risk. If something happens to the Big Eye here, I'm pretty sure you just don't get any of those pieces back. It's all graveyard, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
They're all technically attached to the monster, so if Big Eye goes to the graveyard, the materials underneath it also go to the graveyard as well. And you're right. I mean, we talk about costs or the lack thereof in Yu-Gi-Oh all the time. Think about it. You have to take 2 cards to make 1, so you're losing a card in terms of card economy when you make these Xyz monsters or these synchro monsters. So yeah, in a way, these do have costs. And then the detaching of the material is also a pseudo cost in a way as well. So yeah, we have costs.
So if you have 2 level level 7 monsters, and it's not the first turn. Like, you would ideally like to do something with your 2 level 7s. Go punchy, right? And if you've already done that, does the opponent still have something good to yoink? Or is it like magic, we call it, you know, yoinking their thing, stealing their thing?
Good question.
Yeah, right? So, like, if you have 2 level 7 monsters, and you wanted to do something productive with them, it might be, like, this might be a case of, like, if the game is going the way you want to, it's hard to steal something useful. Or, like, you don't get an attack with those 2 level 7s, you play this, you steal a thing, you attack for 2600, good number, but there's that safeguard, you can't attack with the thing you stole.
Well, you can't attack with the big eye. You can attack with the thing you stole.
You cannot attack
backwards.
the turn this effect. Oh, this card cannot. So the phrasing, this card is referring to number 11, the big eye.
Correct.
And not
Correct.
to, okay. If you don't steal something, you can attack with this right away. So if the opponent's board is empty, you can go bam with level 7, bam with other level 7, merge into this, bam for 2600.
No, because you can only do these types of summons as a sorcery speed effect during either of your main phases. You're not allowed to do it mid-combat, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. And you don't get another combat. Okay, and this isn't Hearthstone. You can't just split up in your turn.
Correct. Now, what you could do, correct. So what you could do is, hypothetically, you could have 2 level 7s, attack an opponent's thing, second main phase, overlay for big eye, take their third thing, and then maybe pass the turn from there, or, you know, do something. I don't know. But that's like a sort of kind of what you're getting at, but not, you know, more following the rules of the game.
Yeah. So, like, it's like, how likely is that? The turns in Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially 2020 and later, seem to be very big turns, so maybe that's more likely than expected. Given, and if this gets removed, you still keep the thing you stole. I mean, it does have a cost, it does have safeguards. There are points where it seems a little awkward. I like it. I'm not immediately like, this has to be banned. I know people don't like their stuff getting stolen, but that's usually like a skill diff where casuals get really angry and like entrenched hardened veterans are like, yeah, you stole my thing, whatever. You know, we play through it, is my general vibe. So the big eye, I haven't seen a lot of like steal your thing used against you, but there was enough. Like there was like just take a thing for a turn and then tribute summon it, like was something we covered very early that was banned back in the day. This is harder to do than that. I don't think it was banned.
I don't think it was banned.
No, come on, control players like, yeah, let's go. Like it seems like the gloves are more off. I'm remembering what I remember, and I've seen some really powerful things, and this at least has safeguards and is a little bit like you have to hit requirements to play it. I imagine it feels bad, but I don't think it had to be banned. Big Eye's fine. Big Eye not banned.
Final answer?
Yep, that's it.
So one thing you might be forgetting, or maybe not realizing, a lot of these take control type of effects, we're talking about Change of Heart, Snatch Steal, etc. A lot of these cards were banned for a majority of Yu-Gi-Oh's history, just because taking control of something in Yu-Gi-Oh is something that, unless it has an incredibly steep cost attached to it, is really, really good. And that's why those cards didn't get unbanned until like the past couple of years, even though they're some of the first cards printed in the game. But Big Eye is totally fine. You're right. You got it right. It's everything you said. I think it's just a very well-designed card. This card has actually seen lots of play, as a matter of fact. In the initial stages, it actually didn't see a ton of play because there wasn't level 7s that were easily special summoned out to the field. But then eventually they printed an entire archetype of all level 7s that were easily special summonable. So Big Eye became one of the best cards for that deck. And even as recently as the past couple of years, the Kashtira deck, which you're somewhat familiar with, actually did play Big Eye because it was all level 7s for the most part. They're very easy to summon out, and having this as a way to steal your opponent's stuff is actually quite good. So even as of recently, this card actually has seen play. It's just a very good card. Not really much else to say. You're 2 for 2. You're 2 for 2.
Yeah, game on, baby.
Someone went to the hyperbolic time chamber while I was away, apparently, because you apparently have upped your skills. Let's see what you think about this one.
Constellar help.
Pleiades.
Pleiades? Constellar Pleiades?
They're all based off constellations. That's why they're constellar.
Okay, sure they are. That's special. A light. Wait, it's not a level 5. It's a rank 5.
There you go. There you go.
Attack 2500, defense 1500, warrior Z. Wait, no. Xyz effect. 2 level 5 light monsters. Once per turn during either player's turn. You can detach 1 material from this card to target 1 card on the field and return that card to the hand.
Ooh, it's also a very blue card.
It is. It is a blue card. Back in the day, like when I did play limited competitive events, go and play sealed or booster draft, things like that, I was always like picking bounce spells really high, and people like laughed at me for it because everybody's like, bounce is not card advantage. Bounce is card disadvantage. I was picking the worst cards you've ever seen. There was some enchantment in like Odyssey that made you discard a card to return something to the owner's hand, and I was picking that, and people were laughing at me, and I'm like, just give me a bounce spell and I'll win the games. That's what I always said, and they're like, that card's terrible. I'm like, but it bounces something. I'm gonna win games, and it worked for me back in the day because people didn't get how amazing bounce effects are. You can bounce their thing, you can bounce your thing. You can turn bounce into card advantage if you use it well at the right time. And there's so many options. So like, especially in like, I mean, this is a whole rabbit hole, but when you bounce your card because you know in limited there aren't many ways to kill that specific card, and they use their maybe only removal spell they have that can deal with it, and you bounce it back to your hand and play it again, you're down tempo. But now that you have something unkillable, it's beautiful. I love bounce. I love bounce so much. This card is insane. Also, you know who hates bounce? The person getting bounced. Like repeatable bounce pisses people off. And I bet the more special little summoning mechanics that there are, bouncing is a lot more effective if they have to get the pieces back together, I bet.
Well,
it's hard.
I will help you out a bit here because I think mechanically I would be leading you astray if I did not tell you how this works. If you are to target a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck with Pleiades or any sort of bounce effect like this that says return it to the hand, mechanically, that card goes back to the extra deck. It doesn't go to the hand.
So you're telling me the card doesn't say what the card does?
Well, it does and it doesn't, right? Because extra deck monsters can't be in the hand due to the game mechanics of the game.
Sounds like propaganda.
Sure.
Sounds like they love their extra special deck and they don't want anybody to harm it. That's what it sounds like to me.
But when you're talking about the bounce spells being effective, this is almost the same thing as having to make them jump through the hoops to resummon it again because the materials underneath that Xyz monster go to the graveyard. So they need to find new monsters to bring out to the field to resummon it back out. So in a way, it's sort of removal in quotes. So like I said, mechanically, I feel like it wouldn't be fair if you didn't understand that aspect of the game.
I think I also love the way that this card, like, you do the thing on your turn, and you can remove 1 piece to activate it, right? Bounce like maybe something that was their blocker, punch their face, and then on their turn do it again. That's really sick. I like this card. When was this printed?
This was printed, what a great question. I think we're still in the early 20-teens. This was printed 2013. We're a year later.
How much did it annoy people? This is definitely a card that gets better with a bigger card pool too. I mean, all of these do, but like specifically like a level 5, I imagine had to get completely filled out with the right materials. It does seem, honestly, like Konami's decent at this point at like just putting all the materials you need for the deck in the sets around it. Yeah, it seems like it. So, but man, things do get better over time. This card seems sweet.
I will say people love this card and people fucking hate this card at the same time.
Oh yeah, I am giving myself a Warshak test. Is that what it is? It's like,
yeah.
I'm outing myself. You either love me or hate me after this one. Yeah, I'd be the person bouncing all over the place with this. Let me see. One card on the field. You can return this to its
your extra deck.
Your extra deck.
Yeah. So if let's say it were targeted by something to remove it, if you didn't have any other good targets to bounce, you could just bounce it back to your extra deck so it doesn't go to the graveyard and then resummon it again on the next turn, hypothetically. It's very good, huh?
It seems delightful. It seems absolutely delightful. Things change. Honestly, tempo of this type, like bouncing, seems to get better when formats get really fast because, much like the Abyss Dweller, when you buy a turn from death, you often can win on the next turn in powered formats. So this does get much more dangerous, but it does seem like in Magic, the Abyss Dweller is like a stacks effect, and this is more like a targeted interaction effect. It's not like those things have never been banned in card games before, though. In Magic, we have Divide by Zero that recently got banned, which was this like a bouncy effect that also gave you value. Those things did invalidate very large creatures, like very large spells. Nothing worked against them because if it didn't do something on entry that was massive, it just got sent back to the hand and your investment was shot. This card in Yu-Gi-Oh, though, might not be. I like it. I like it a lot, but it might not be as oppressive as it is in Magic because while there are cost to things like the materials, there isn't a mana cost to thing, and the mana cost of thing in Magic is a big deal with getting your stuff bounced and getting your stuff remanded or divided by zero. And in Yu-Gi-Oh, if you can reassemble the pieces again, it's free. Like you can kind of get blown out if like you use this on the wrong thing and they're just like, oh well, I had this and this and it's right back and now you're wrecked. So I think this card is.
But then you just bounce it again.
I mean, once per turn, my friend.
Yeah, you bounce it on your turn, then when they try to do it again on their turn, you bounce it on their turn, right?
Sure. I don't know, man. I think this is an awesome two-shot card, and I can definitely see that people would hate this card. But that is, I don't know. This card seems, dare I say, healthy. The thing that worries me, with the repeatable bounce effect is combos. And it does have the once per turn on it, so I feel a little safer about it. But when you can loop things back and forth and just do endless stuff, that's where it becomes very devastating. And this does say once per turn. I can't believe I'm going 3 in a row, and this one is the one I love the most. So that probably means it's the most likely to be banned. But I'm still gonna say not banned.
You're 3 for 3, CGP. You are correct. Pleiades is actually a perfectly fine, healthy card. It's actually just a very above average good card. I knew because of the bouncing effect and everything I've learned about Magic. I was trying to see if I could get you with this one, but you did not take the bait. Pleiades is phenomenal. I think the thing that really holds this card back is the fact that it requires level 5 light specifically. That's one thing, again, when I talked to you before about how Yu-Gi-Oh sort of divides its colors into archetypes sometimes. This is an example of like with the attributes of the cards. In this case, it's light. This is an advantage to play light cards, right? Because if you can facilitate level 5 light monsters, you get to play Pleiades. And that's a huge buff if you're able to play this card. Any deck that can play this card would. It's just not very common that there's good level 5 light monsters that are meta relevant. The most recent example I can think of was probably Eldritch back right around when COVID started. But aside from that, that's probably like the last time this card really saw play just because it sort of naturally fit into the deck. But there's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with it. You can bounce back opponents' extra deck cards. You can bounce back your own cards to reuse them again potentially. You can do things like if your opponent goes set a trap card face down and end their turn, before they pass their turn in the end phase, you can bounce the trap card back to their hand so now they can't use it on your turn to potentially stop your plays. A lot of really cool stuff you can do with this card. Phenomenally designed card, but yeah, just a really good card. It's not banned. Never, like I said, you're never like excited to play against Pleiades. It's very annoying, but it's never like you'd much rather hate Abyss Dweller than Pleiades for sure. But you're on a roll. You're on a roll. We gotta pick some harder ones here. See what you think about this one.
De gusto emerald.
Pretty good.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Rank 4, attack 1800, defense 800. What is this color thing? It's not dark. What is that? I can't read it.
That's a wind.
Wind. Okay. Wind. Okay. Rock. Okay. Rock XZ effect.
There you go.
Level 2 level 4 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach an XZ material from this card, then activate one of these effects. Target 3 monsters in your graveyard, shuffle all 3 into your deck, then draw 1 card. Target 1 non-effect monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. What is a non-effect monster?
So a monster that does not have an effect. So think about just anything that would just have flavor text in it. It has no abilities.
Does that get used?
Sometimes.
Huh. You play textless things in this game where you can have endless text on everything? Crazy.
The only reason you would play textless cards, as you're so calling them, is because there are other cards in the game that either there's an advantage to playing the textless card. So for instance, there's a card that says special summon we call them normal monsters. There's a card that says special summon a normal monster from your deck, right? So it's a way to get a free guy out onto the field. So that way you have material to use for a synchro summon, C summon, tribute summon, whatever. Or there's a card like this that says, oh, if your deck's already playing these non-effect monsters, now you have a way to just get that guy out onto the field for free. There's also cards like Brilliant Fusion, not that you need to know what that is, but that card requires you to play a non-effect monster most of the time in order to fulfill that card's effect, essentially. So we have cards, you play the normal monsters because they facilitate extremely strong cards that you want to play. So it comes at the cost of making your deck less consistent, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. Since it's worded this way that you can detach 1 material from this, then activate one of the effects, does that mean you can remove one of these textless things that goes to the graveyard, then bring it back onto the battlefield?
That's a good question. So you are allowed to do that if you already have another normal monster in the graveyard prior to doing that. So if that is the only normal monster that you detach, the answer is no. But if you already had one in the grave and then detach a normal monster, you can pick either.
That seems so weird.
It is weird, yes. That's just a mechanically Yu-Gi-Oh thing.
I wonder what it's like trying to introduce the whole Magic stack to somebody. All right, you can detach one. The shuffling 3 in your graveyard, shuffle all 3 into your deck, then draw.
You already know card draw comes at a premium in our game.
It does. And also if there's a way to like mill out your deck, you're drawing one of those 3 and you're allowed like 3 copies of a thing, so it's almost like drawing whatever in combo land. I wonder. When did this come out?
Not too much later, I want to say. This card came out in 2013.
There are some combo alarm bells. You can detach once per turn. It still has that limiter. But yeah, the idea of like somehow emptying your deck and then shuffling like the perfect 3 monsters in and then maybe like comboing out or doing something gross is there. It's available.
Okay.
There's also just the raw like, boom, here's the material. It is limited to windy stuff. Or no, it's not. It's limited to level 4s.
Level 4s.
Okay.
And to be fair, level 4 is the most common level of monster that you're typically playing in a deck.
Okay, so it's not quite as limited at all.
Yeah.
Getting cards is a big deal. The stats are perfectly acceptable at about the level 4, but it's
Yeah,
like
this is
two
like pretty
level
average for a
4s.
rank 4.
It doesn't deal with the board, which is something that's been kind of a constant lately for these kind of things that you summon together. I don't know. Like, there's a few alarm bells, but they're not glaring. It feels like a perfectly good value piece, but if it doesn't deal with something on the board, if you're, and it definitely has a cost. You have to have 3 monsters in your graveyard to like get 1 card drawn. So that is a cost of its own. And you had to put 2 level 4 monsters under this. Those aren't in your graveyard. One of them could be from paying the cost, but you still need 2 others already there. So it's not like it's just straight up like, here's the thing, I draw a card. You do have to set that up and say that you don't have that set up. The other effect also needs some amount of setup. You've got to have some amount of setup. Now I know the graveyard's like a second hand, but this doesn't have a glaring like busted thing to me. It seems like a support player, but I feel like looking at the other cards that it covered a lot of bases, and this feels like it covers specific bases, and they might be things that you can do regularly. It might be a regular part of decks, but I don't see anything glaring to me. Nothing terrifying. So I'm interested to see what you tell me, but I'm going to say right now that this is a really good role player card. It gets you card advantage, but it doesn't seem like it can be the whole thing your deck is about unless there's specifically a combo that mills your whole deck, and then you put the 3 exact monsters in there and you win the game from this. And if that is what's going on, the problem are the cards that are milling your whole deck, and I think those got banned. So I'm going to say this is not banned.
Final answer.
Yes.
The streak has come to an end, ladies and gentlemen. You are incorrect, CGB. So I will say at the present moment, it's not banned. It's limited to 1, I believe my memory serves, but it was banned for quite some time. So let me give you some context here. On release, Emerald was a perfectly fine card. Typically how Emerald will function is, remember, you have your extra deck of 15 cards, so you have some just options to toolbox into as needed. And typically like mid to late game, you find yourself in a situation where you've got like a pretty full graveyard. If you find yourself in a situation where maybe you can't kill the opponent, but you want to put yourself in a very strong position, you would go into an Emerald, shuffle some stuff back, draw a card. It's like you drew 2 cards for the turn because you drew your first card at the beginning of the turn, and then you're giving yourself more resources if you're both in like a low resource situation to pull yourself ahead. Maybe you get a trap card that locks out the game, maybe you get like a really strong hand trap, what have you, right? I mean, Emerald's just a card to sort of, if you can't kill them, it sort of seals the game in a way that you're just gonna kind of overwhelm them with card advantage. Because if they don't answer the Emerald, you get to draw 2 on your next turn, and then again, by Yu-Gi-Oh standards, having that many cards up on your opponent, it's game over. You're not recovering from that. So that was his role initially. Then we get into the situation where people figured out how to really abuse Emerald because, while yes, Emerald only says once per turn, that is what we call a soft once per turn. It does not say you can only use the effect of Daigusto Emerald once per turn. So hypothetically, there's a world where you use a copy of Emerald, draw a card, get Emerald into the graveyard, summon a second copy of Daigusto Emerald from your extra deck, shuffle the first copy back into your extra deck, draw another card, and hypothetically you can infinitely loop Daigusto Emeralds over and over and over again to basically just do whatever you want at that point. So on like the lesser degenerate side of things, there was combos on the very first turn of the game where you could start like +6 cards over your opponent if you went uninterrupted, which is kind of ridiculous. And then on the further end of degeneracy, there was FTKs that Daigusto Emerald enabled because you basically just had infinite draw and you could just cycle, indefinitely. And so as a result, Daigusto Emerald got banned, and now it's at 1 copy, which is fine because you can't loop it infinitely essentially. And it's just a really, really crazy card. It's just a fantastic card by Yu-Gi-Oh standards.
Wow. It makes it sound like it was like some kind of inevitability engine in a long game.
Basically.
And
yeah,
now
basically.
I've like trained my brain that Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have those because of the modern Yu-Gi-Oh stuff.
To be fair, yeah, it's more of a Yu-Gi-Oh 1 card in a lot of instances, but then as the game evolved and became a lot faster, people found ways to abuse a card like this that's definitely older. It doesn't have the hard once per turn text on it, and so that's why it kind of fell into, it's sort of like a Biswell, right, where it's an older card, and then because of the way the game evolved, it just became more degenerate as a result. But that's a lot of, eternal format nonsense at the end of the day. All right, you're still doing good. You're still ahead. Let's see what you think about this guy.
If it says draw a card, I'm just gonna say it's banned. How about that?
To be fair, I think that's fair. It's like when I say it's banned because it's blue.
Nah. Mecha Phantom Beast Dracos Sack. Why is there an airplane with a tail and a Discover like 1980s space shuttle thing riding it, but it has wheels? What the hell?
Yu-Gi-Oh's great, isn't it?
They
should have put this in Aether Drift.
I don't know. Sure. Why not? They love it.
I'll wait to read the effect.
Levels, nope. Rank 7, 2600, 2200. Machine, XZ, effect, 2 level 7 monsters, all the things. Once per turn, you can detach 1 XZ material from the card to special summon 2 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens. Machine type wind, level 3, attack 0, defense 0. While you control a token, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Once per turn, you contribute 1 Mecha Phantom Beast monster. Then target 1 card on the field to destroy that target. This card cannot attack during the turn you activated this effect. Okay.
If you want the token, I sent that to you as well.
Oh, thank you. That's...
Yeah, it's just a little cute guy.
Oh my god. Yeah, it actually is just a little cute guy. After the nonsense I was looking at, this actually looks very normal. This card can be used. Oh, thank you. If you hadn't specified, I wouldn't know what to do with it. If used for another token, apply that token. Okay, sure. Whatever. Man, it's one of the like board in a boxes from Magic where you play one thing, but it's actually 3 things. But you have to give
And it could
up.
be 5 things if it lives a turn.
Once per turn, detach a material. There are 2 of them. Special summon 2 of them. Yeah, on top of stuff. This thing can't be destroyed unless you get rid of the little tokens.
Mm-hmm.
And then once per turn, you can make 2 tokens as long as you got some. So, like, gosh, I'm picturing like this in multiples because it's a rank 7. It's not a level 7. This can't special summon another copy of itself, right?
Correct. It's just special summoning the tokens.
Okay, I'm figuring that stuff out. Still, oh man, you buy yourself some time. They get rid of the tokens, like you can reload this, bounce it, bring it back, play another one. Just keep making tokens. Sounds so annoying. And it's like you have to kill the tokens because they can also just destroy targets.
Yep.
So it's not like you can ignore the tokens that just sit there being 0/0s. They actually wreck things. There are a lot of cards like this, and they do tend to get rather loved in Magic of the things that just make more things. But these particular things are particularly destructive. It's not often you can just pitch the little things that came with it to destroy stuff. unless you have other cards that do that. And this is all contained in and of itself. That's crazy. That's gotta be annoying. It's gotta be dude, it's a lot to get through, right?
It is.
I mean, if you're talking about making the game take a little longer, I bet this does. It's probably a lot harder to OTK somebody through one or two, through like this and some tokens.
Correct. It is.
Is that good for the game or is that bad for the game?
I don't know. I'll tell you after.
Seems pretty good for the game to me. I'm not.
This is 20. I want to say this is 2013 or 2014 because I know you're going to ask me that next. 2013. Yep, 2013.
It's an older, older Yu-Gi-Oh. I think they actually liked these end games. I bet this was it was very fun to go against this over and over and over and over. But there's probably the answers. I mean, just you can AoE stuff, right? That works. You destroy everything on the field, this goes away.
The tokens die, Draco Sack stays alive.
You're making me think this got banned. I don't know. The vibes of not even being sure how those interactions happen sound like they were just like, all right, everybody's doing this, get rid of it. This is making games a nightmare. Both sides are playing this and making more of these and making more of these and just playing another one and another one. That's the vibe
I checked the official rulings. Yes, that's how it works.
Okay. Hey, you have a place.
Okay, so the reason for context is because I did not get back. I was taking a hiatus during this time, so I only got back into playing like right after this card. So I didn't like have the full-on experience of playing against this all the time. So that's the reason.
Is this why you took a hiatus? Is it the mecha
this is not the
phantom
reason I took a
beast
hiatus. No.
Draco
This is not the reason.
Okay,
no.
okay.
My hiatus was 6 years prior to this.
Okay, fair. I mean, I just picture like 3 of these in all the decks and just going back and forth with, I make these, I blow up these, I kill these, I make more of these, I go.
That's really interesting you say that. That's really interesting you say that.
It sounds like a nightmare. It sounds like a real pain in the ass because if card draw is at a premium, this is card advantage on the board, and it just keeps happening. And you have to deal with every bit of it. And it honestly doesn't feel like Yu-Gi-Oh has all the resources to deal with all of this. Like, this might be out generating resources for the game, aside from like crazy max C turns and stuff. Like it just feels like the card draw is so rare that, like, oh my gosh, this does feel like a nightmare. I'm gonna say restricted because I think that would solve a lot of problems, because I think what's dangerous about this card is everybody runs 3 and they just, as soon as you finally get through one and you like spend so many resources on it, they just play another and it's like, fuck. So restricted is my take.
So not banned. Because I don't care about if it's restricted or not. You don't think it's banned or not banned, CGP? You're not getting like bonus points.
I think one's not the worst, but I could be wrong. Not banned.
Okay. Not banned?
Just restricted.
You got it. You're correct.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay.
Oh, man. So, all right, let's give you some context around Draco Sack. Everything you said is pretty accurate. So Draco Sack was pretty much the hallmark card around this time. That was the centerpiece of what was the best deck and what is actually considered one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh decks of all time prior to Tier Element existing, called Dragon Rulers. Maybe I'll show you those one day. But basically, in short, there are a bunch of level 7s that can easily special summon themselves out to the field, which means Draco Sack was very easy for them to make. Draco Sack was a secret rare, which is the highest rarity in the set, and as a result, Draco Sack was like $200 a copy, because basically, this was like one of the, if not the best card that you could be playing. Your opening turn 1 play would typically consist of bringing out 2 guys, make Draco Sack, make 2 tokens, and you're pretty much like off to the races at that point. And you could have multiple Draco Sacks for follow-up turns. The deck also played big guys, so what would happen is sometimes you'd go turn 1 open with Draco Sack. Your opponent could make a big eye, steal your Draco Sack, then detach the material and summon 2 tokens on their field. Now they have Draco Sack and the big eye, and this is actually what a lot of people consider to be some of the best Yu-Gi-Oh, because it was very back and forth. It was very skill intensive. I'm actually kind of sad. that I didn't play during this time because even though a lot of people got priced out of this format because of how expensive it was, historically, it's very easy to pick a lot of these cards up now. So people have kind of been able to re-explore this format. And as long as you don't mind playing the mirror match, because similar to Tier Element, that's kind of what it was, it's a very fun and interesting mirror match just because there's a lot of counterplay. There's a lot of just really cool stuff you can do. And Draco Sack was sort of the piece that brought it all together. And very powerful card, very pushed card, but never got banned. They actually ended up banning a lot of the other cards in the archetype, and as a result, the deck sort of fell out of playability, and Draco Sack just kind of fell to the wayside because if the deck that was playing it was no longer playable, then you don't need to ban Draco Sack. So, yeah, just a phenomenal card, and actually has seen modern play as well because of the token producing ability that has actually come up for several reasons that we won't get into for this video, but still good enough to see modern play, which is how you know the card is very powerful, very powerful.
Wowie, what a ridiculous card! What a ridiculous art!
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. It's kind of crazy, but people love it. People love it. Okay, next card.
Number 101, Silent Honor Arc. Water, rank 4, 2100 attack, 1000 defense, Aqua, XZ effect, 2 level 4 monsters. You can detach 2 XZ materials from this card, then target 1 special summoned monster your opponent controls in face-up attack position. Attach it to this card as a face-up XZ material. You can only use this effect of number 101 Silent Honor Arc once per turn. If this face-up card would be destroyed, you can detach 1 XZ material from this card instead. Okay, so you play it. There's 2 things under it. You detach the 2 things. The opponent's special summoned face-up attack position monster goes under this. And then when you try to destroy this, instead that monster goes to their graveyard, in theory.
So a very unique removal effect.
Yeah. Is this the hard once per turn?
That is the hard once per turn, yes. So you would not be able to summon a second Silent Honor Arc in the same turn. And, well, you could summon it, you just can't use the effect.
You do have to target the thing, and it can only be a special summoned monster, but there's everything special summoned.
I would say, if anything, the attack position is more of the qualifier here than if it was special summoned.
And also, it doesn't destroy it. It makes it a material. So if there was something that prevented destruction, if you were using a Silent Honor on a Silent Honor, the preventing it wouldn't work? Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
That was actually not uncommon to see when this card was printed.
Yeah, I imagine it's not a common line of text.
Or, for instance, Draco Sack, right? Draco Sack has the protection from being destroyed by battle or card effects, but it doesn't say anything about being targeted. So if they left their Draco Sack in attack position, you could just suck it up with Silent Honor Arc.
Well, then you've got to have this card around. It's a unique removal effect. It feels like
Final answer?
Almost. It does feel like a very legit role player, you know? It does. Like this, you've got to have the answers to the weird situations, or the weird situations become the whole, like when you create in a meta, when you find the thing that basically gets around all of the potential removal the opponent's played, the game just becomes around that thing. So you got to have answers. If there's no answers, the meta's homogenous. I don't know. Right now, like, I'm going to read it again, but right now it looks fine. I don't have a reaction to this that upsets me per se. I bet it's annoying, but you only get around the destruction once. The attack is high. It's a good attack, but it's not insane. The defense is pretty low, so going to battle with this, a lot of things would kill it. So let's see. What is busted here? I mean, it's good. I'm not saying it's not good. It's very good, but what's busted? Target 1 special summon monster your opponent controls. And it does have those guardrails. It has to be face-up attack position. I imagine many are. I imagine many are, but it is a very specific thing. You attach it as material. It's limited to once per turn, a hard limit. If it would be destroyed... I mean, the fact that you can take something and it doesn't go to their graveyard might just take them off a key piece indefinitely.
Very perceptive.
That still seems like a good thing to me, because again, I'm like, don't just play solitaire and get away with it. I think that the game is better when you can keep people from just getting away with playing solitaire. So it's good that you can take away a key piece and they can't get